Namaste, thank you for joining me. My name is Sarah. This is an all-level Hatha yoga flow with a little bit of core work in the very beginning and a little bit of breath work at the very end. So grab any props that you feel like you might need, a blanket, blocks, books if you need them for a little extra support, and we'll get started. So we're gonna get started lying down on our backs in Supta Baddha Konasana. So as you come to lying down on your back, you'll bring the soles of your feet together and allow the knees to fall out wide. And if you need some help getting all the way down, then you'll help yourself down. And once you arrive with the knees falling out wide, soles of the feet together, you'll take one hand to your belly, left hand to your belly, and your right hand to your heart. And gently close the eyes. Bringing your awareness into your body and into your practice, first by noticing any noises that might be happening far away outside of your house. I can hear someone mowing the lawn. I can hear a dog barking. So really listening to what's the furthest away outside of your house. And then bring your awareness to inside of your house or your apartment or condo, your abode. And notice if you can hear any noises that are going on inside of your house. And then bring your awareness into the room in which you're practicing. Maybe you can hear the air from the vents. Maybe you hear the sound of your own breath. And then bring your awareness into your body, feeling the clothes against your skin, the breath as it moves in and out of your nose, the hands on your belly and your heart following the path of the breath. Without changing anything, just notice where the breath is moving. Now we begin to deepen our breath, our Dirga breath, our three-part breathing. So we've got our left hand on our belly, our right hand under our heart, and that's to help us follow the path of the breath. So as you exhale, you'll draw all of the air out and draw the low belly back towards the spine to help you squeeze out any stale air from the bottom of the lungs. And then as you inhale, you'll feel your belly puffing into the bottom hand. Allow the breath to travel up into that right hand where the heart is, and then all the way up into the space in between your collarbones. And then as you exhale, you'll reverse that wave, like a wave receding back into the ocean. As you exhale, the breath drops back down, bottom ribs knit together, and the bottom hand, the low belly, draws back into the spine. Or Dirga breath, a three-part breathing again. Inhale, belly, ribs, collarbones. As you exhale, collarbones, ribs, belly. 3 more breaths just like that. Inhale. Exhale. Breathing in and out through the nose. Squeezing out that last breath of air to get rid of any of that stale air. And then inhaling, imagining the breath going down to the bottom lobes of your lungs. Exhale. Last time, inhale, and exhale. Good. Gently blink the eyes open, release that breath, and notice the effects of that breath already at the very beginning of your practice. Take your hands and reach down to the outsides of your thighs, draw the knees in together so the soles of the feet plant onto the floor. And then take the heels of your hands into the creases of your hips and press the thighs away so you feel a little traction in the low back. Take one breath in and out. One more in and out, and gently release. Good. So take your hands to your hip points, your low belly, and find your hip points. And then I want you to find a posterior tilt. So you'll tilt the tailbone back into the mat, and it actually lifts your sit bones up towards the back of your thighs, okay? So this posterior tilt flattens the low back so you can't slide a hand underneath there. So you'll take your hands down by your sides and you can stay right here, just working on knitting the core together. If you have more, maybe you lift the knees so that they're stacked right on top of the hips and the shins are parallel to the floor. You can stay right here. This is also a lot of work. Or if you'd like, you could begin to tap the heel. So you'll inhale here, and then as you exhale, you'll tap the right heel. Inhale, lift it, and then exhale, tap the left heel. Lift it. So keep going with your breath. And what we're trying to do here is still keep the low back glued to the mat. And if you have even more, you can take opposite arm and opposite hand, opposite arm and opposite leg. So with your left heel, your right arm goes overhead, and then with your right heel, your left arm goes overhead. Good. Keep going. You should feel warm now. Good. One more time each side so you're even. Good. Drop the soles of the feet to the floor and windshield wiper the legs from side to side. Okay, come back to stillness. So, all those same options are available to you. You'll just find the tuck of the pelvis so that the bottom ribs knit together and you're tighten the corset of the core like you're zipping it up from your pubic bone all the way to your sternum. Or you'll take your hands behind your head and you can stay right here and crunch up, okay? Second is knees lift again. So we'll inhale here, you'll exhale, head, neck, and shoulders lift, and then tap the knees to the elbows, lower pelvis, lower head, neck, and shoulder. That's one. We're only gonna do 5, okay? Or if that's not okay, you can stay right here and just do 5 crunches, okay? Nice and slow. So wherever you are, follow along. So you'll inhale here, exhale, lift head, neck, and shoulders, tap knees to elbows, lower hips, lower head and shoulders. 2, inhale, lift, tap the elbows, lower, lower. Inhale, exhale, lift, knees tap elbows, lower hips, lower head. Inhale here, exhale, lift, tap, lower, lower, and we'll do one more. Inhale, exhale, lift, tap, lower hips, lower head, neck, and shoulders. Good. Soles of the feet to the floor. And again, windshield wiper the legs from side to side. Good. Come back to stillness. We've got one more. So draw the right knee in towards the chest, give it a squeeze. Send the left leg long. So it's resting along the mat, both feet are flexed. You'll inhale here. As you exhale, squeeze in. And then inhale, switch the legs. So the left knee draws in, the right leg goes long. Good. Inhale here. Exhale, draw in. And then switch. Exhale, right knee. Good. So we're going to keep moving now as you exhale, switching the legs and drawing the knee in towards the chest. Now you can make it harder by hovering the extended leg about an inch off of the floor. You can make it even harder by lifting the head, neck, and shoulders. Again, finding this press of the low back into the mat. And you can find even more by speeding it up. Good, wherever you are, we'll go for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. Draw both knees into the chest, give them a squeeze. Drop the soles of the feet to the floor, and again, windshield wiper the legs from side to side. Nice and slow, so you're wringing out the core in this gentle twist. Then you'll come back to stillness. Bring the hands behind the knees and bring the hands in between the knee and the thigh, right? So in that crease. We'll take a few rocks up to seated, and as you do, we'll find that Supta Baddha Konasana. So the knees will fall out wide and the soles of the feet will be together. And then you'll rock back, come forward, knees wide, Keep going. Good, one more time. This time as you come forward, cross the ankles and come into hands and knees. Tabletop. So shoulders stacked right over wrists, knees right over ankles. Hips right over knees. And your ankles are hidden behind your knees. So if you take a peek back in between your thighs, you can't see your toes. Okay? We'll take a few rounds of cat-cow to stretch out the belly. So as you inhale, drop the belly, lift the heart, lift the tailbone. As you exhale, round. Good, inhale, come back to center, drop the heart, lift the tailbone. Exhale, round. One more time, inhale. And exhale. Good. Come back to your neutral spine. Tuck the left toes and send the left leg long behind you and pump the leg back and forth for a minute. So you're warming up the wrist here, stretching out the back of that left leg. And then you'll lift that left leg in line with the hip, cross that left foot to the outside of the right shin, and then take a peek over that right shoulder. So you feel a nice big stretch along the left side of the body and compression on the right side. And then as you inhale, you'll sweep this left leg out to the side and sink the hips back for half happy baby. So this is a big groin stretch on that left leg. You're pressing the sole of the foot to the floor if that feels okay on your ankle. If it doesn't, then you can bring the inner arch to the floor. Good, and then inhale, come back up to center. Draw the left knee in line with the right. Find your neutral spine again, and then tuck the right toes, reach the right heel up towards the ceiling, and find that pumping action again. So you're rocking back and forth. This also stretches the underside of the foot, the calf. Grip through the fingertips, and then come to stillness. Lift that right leg in line with the hip, and then cross it over to the left side of the mat. Take a peek over that left shoulder as you draw left hip towards left shoulder. This time, big openness on the right side of the body and compression on the left. Good, one more breath in. And then as you exhale, like a big semicircle, you'll sweep this right leg out to the right. I'm a little short on space here. And sink the hip back for half happy baby pose. So again, sole of the foot to the floor or the inner arch. And you want it in line with the knee, not too far forward, so you get a nice stretch on the inner right groin. As you inhale, come back up to table, slide the right knee in line with the left. Tuck the toes, lift the hips, downward facing dog. Keep the knees bent. Press through the thumb and the first finger, as well as all of the mounds of the fingers and the tips of the fingers. So it's almost like you're trying to create a dome with the center of your palm lifting away from the floor. The bottom ribs draw up and in, and the press of the hands sends them back towards your thighs. You can keep your knees slightly bent here, or straighten, whatever feels good for you. Take one more breath in. And then as you exhale, begin to walk the feet up towards the hands. Inhale to lift up halfway. Exhale, fold in. Root down to rise all the way up to standing, palms touch overhead. And then exhale, hands come to heart center. So we'll move through a few Surya Namaskar sun salutations to continue to warm up the body. Inhale, sweep the arms overhead. As you exhale, hinge at the hips, soft bend in the knees to forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. And then exhale, plant the hands, step back to high plank. For this first one, we'll lower down knees, chest and chin, so the elbows still tuck into the ribs. You'll untuck the toes, snake through to drop the pelvis to the floor, and lift for a low cobra. And then you'll drop the heart back down towards the floor, lift the hips, tuck the toes, downward facing dog. Adho Mukha Svanasana. One breath in and one breath out. Inhale, look forward. As you exhale, walk to the top of your mat. Inhale to halfway lift. Exhale, fold in. Reverse swan dive, come all the way up to standing, palms touch. Exhale, hands come to heart center. Inhale, sweep the arms overhead. Exhale, hinge at the hips, forward fold. Inhale to lift halfway, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, plant the hands, step back to high plank, again lowering down knees, chest and chin, so your booty's in the air. Snake through, dropping the pelvis. Shoulders draw away from the ears, Bhujangasana, cobra pose. Tuck the toes, lift the hips, downward facing dog. One breath in and out. Inhale, look forward. Walk or take a big step to the top of your mat. Inhale to lift halfway. Exhale, fold in. Reverse swan dive, come all the way up to standing, palms touch. Exhale, hands come to heart center. Good, one more, inhale. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, plant the hands, step back to high plank, lowering knees, chest and chin, or if you feel warm enough, you'll lower down to chaturanga. Finding a back bend of your choice, maybe upward facing dog. Exhale, rolling over the toes, downward facing dog. Good, hold here for 3 breaths. So if you need to, pedal out the feet, sway the hips from side to side. Again, rooting down through the thumb and the first finger, and then all the mounds of the fingers, which is where the fingers meet the palm. And then on your next inhale, lift the right leg. As you exhale, step it through. If it doesn't get there all the way, reach back and help it. Good. Come to your fingertips and look forward. So you're still high on the ball of that back foot, but heart reaches forward. And then as you exhale, straighten that front leg, bow forward. Inhale, come back into that lunge, onto your fingertips, look forward. Exhale, straighten the right leg, hip shift back. Good, one more time. Inhale, sink into that lunge. Exhale, straighten the leg and hold. So here's a great place for blocks. If you need them, you can come onto your fingertips. You can walk your fingertips forward as you fold. Take one more breath in and out. As you inhale, sink back into that lunge, look forward. Plant the hands, step back to high plank, and take a vinyasa. So knees, chest and chin, or chaturanga, to upward facing dog, Adho Mukha, or Urdhva Mukha, and then exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Inhale, lift the left leg. Exhale, step the left foot to the left thumb. Stay high on the ball of that back foot. Come to your fingertips and find your lunge here. So you're still finding some buoyancy in the hips, so you're not sinking down too far. You're still lifting them up a little. And the heart looks forward. Take an inhale here. As you exhale, press through the ball of that front foot to straighten the leg. Inhale, come back to your lunge. Exhale, straighten. Inhale, come back to your lunge. Exhale, straighten and hold. Good, again, finding blocks, bringing the hands to the floor, reaching the fingertips out in front of you. Take one more breath in and out. And then as you inhale, return to that lunge, plant the hands, step back to high plank, and take a vinyasa, chaturanga, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. And to inhale, look forward. And as you exhale, big step or maybe a hop to the top of your mat. To inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, fold in. Reverse swan dive, come all the way up to standing, palms touch overhead. And exhale, hands come to heart center. Good. Bring your big toes together, sinking down for Utkatasana, chair pose. So sweep the fingertips along the floor and reach the arms overhead as you sink the hips. Take a peek down and make sure you can still see your toes. Belly is drawing in,
The tailbone is not overly tucked, but thinking about it as an extension, like this, you're on a spit going right through the crown of the head, your spine, and you're right out your tailbone like it's a kickstand. One more breath in. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Plant the hands, step back to high plank, and take a vinyasa. Meeting in downward facing dog. These are optional, by the way, you can skip them, and just meet straight in downward facing dog. Inhale, lift the right leg. Exhale, step it through. Come onto your fingertips, and then this time sweep the arms forward and overhead as you arrive in crescent lunge. And as you inhale, straighten the front leg, spin the back heel down, arms come out to shoulder height, and then rebend that front leg, Virabhadrasana 2. So you're going for a neutral pelvis here. So reaching too far forward like this is like you're surfing, right? So bring your hands to your hips and see if you can drop this left hip and lift the right hip point away from that front thigh. And then arms come out shoulder height fiercely, like you're hugging muscle to bone. Drop the right forearm to the right thigh. Lift that left arm straight up towards the ceiling. Inhale, come back to Virabhadrasana 2. Straighten that front leg and reverse. Good. As you inhale, windmill the hands down, spin to the ball of the back foot. Step back, hold in high plank. We'll take Vashisthasana on the right. So you'll spin your heels over to the right. Bring your left fingertips to your hip. Maybe reach that left arm up towards the ceiling. So feet can be staggered. They can be stacked. If you have another variation, yogi's choice here. Good. Wherever you are, one more breath in. And then that top hand comes down, back into high plank, going straight to downward facing dog or chaturanga to your vinyasa, back bend. Downward facing dog. We'll take that on the left. Inhale, lift the left leg, step it through. Come to your fingertips and then sweep the arms forward and overhead for crescent. So again, another cue here is if you find a big sway back, bend the back knee so you can draw the tailbone down towards the floor and the front hips up. It's a lot of work. And then stay here. Good. Straighten the front leg, spin that right heel down, and find your Virabhadrasana 2 on the left. Again, maybe bring your hands to your hips. Notice where your hips are. So you're trying to draw this left hip now away from that left thigh. And the right hip drops down. Arms out, hugging muscle to bone. Take a breath in, and then as you exhale, left forearm to the left thigh, right arm reaches up towards the ceiling. Inhale, come back to Virabhadrasana 2. Straighten the front leg and reverse. Inhale, come back to center. Windmill the hands down, step back to high plank. We'll take Vashisthasana on the left. So spin both of the heels to the left, either staggering the feet, reaching the right arm up towards the ceiling. Maybe you stack the feet. Maybe you lift that top leg. One more breath in. Top leg comes down, top arm comes down, and again, vinyasa. Good, as you inhale, look forward. And then as you exhale, exhale, you'll step the right foot to the outside of the right hand, left foot to the outside of the left hand. Sink the hips and find Malasana, squat pose. So I'll turn towards you guys. So you can see elbows are pressing into the knees press back into the elbows, and when I do that, I can find more broadness along my collarbones. I can sit up a little straighter. Find a gentle engagement of your perineum. This is your root chakra, your Mula Bandha. And we do that so that the energy from this pose continues to move up and doesn't just get dumped out. If you have a crow pose in your practice that you'd like to try, you can do so now. We'll be here for another 5 breaths. If you're practicing crow, you'll bring your hands down to the floor, about shoulder width distance apart. Turn back towards this way. And then the knees stay squeezing to the outside of the elbows so that you can shift the weight forward and maybe lift one toe and the other. The next option is to create a little shelf with the backs of the triceps to lay the knees up by the armpits and then maybe lift one toe and then the other. The gaze on the heart should always be looking forward. If you look backwards, you will tumble for sure. Wherever you are, take 2 more breaths and then meet back in Malasana. Bringing your hands to heart center. Using that Mula Bandha, the root chakra, the root lock, press down into your feet and rise all the way up to standing. Good. I'm going to turn sideways on my mat so you can see me, but you can stay wherever you are. Moving into some standing balancing poses. So first is tree pose. So you will take your right knee, come to the right toe, hands to the hips, and then turn this right knee out to the right. So we do that with our outer hip to externally rotate the leg. And then I want you to see if you can use the strength of your hips to place the foot, okay? So you can take it right here to the calf. You can use it as a little kickstand, take it to the calf, and then use the hip to see if you can draw that heel in higher. I can get it up, the heel up into the groin, if I reach down and grab it there. But if I do that, I'm bypassing the strength of my outer hips. So place it, the only place it can't be is on that knee, because the knee doesn't go out to the side, right? It's a front to back joint, a hinge joint. And then place it, then if you'd like, adjust. Options here, hands to hips, hands to heart center, grow your branches. Now balance is something that changes from moment to moment, day to day, side to side. And it's funny, I think I've said this before, when I'm in a balancing pose, the only thing I can think about is balancing, right? If you'll notice, I've been talking and I've been wobbling, right? Balance is so great because it takes all of our attention. And it's so nice to be able to dedicate and focus your attention all onto this one task. Take one breath in, and then slowly return out of the pose. Give everything a wiggle and a shake. Okay, so next, hands to hips, standing into your right leg, looking opposite of you guys, standing into your right leg, coming to your toe, turning this left leg out to the left, using the outer hips. Again, kickstand, calf. Use the strength of your outer hips to see if you can place that heel as high as you can onto the right thigh. And then wherever it lands, if you'd like to adjust, adjust. Woo. Grab yourself if you need to. Stand near a wall if you must. Something else that helps balance is to find a focal point, a drishti. When you're ready, grow your branches. Take any variation that speaks to you. And this drishti can be a point on the floor. It can be something straight ahead. The higher you move the gaze, that drishti, the more challenging it is. So maybe you look up to where the wall and the ceiling meet. Maybe you look straight up, and if you really want to get crazy with it, close your eyes. And don't worry about falling out of the pose. You can come right back into it. Take one more breath in, and then gently release. Good. Give everything a wiggle and a shake. So next standing balance is our figure 4, which again we're going to use the outer hip. Make sure you have space on either side of your mat that you can bring a leg out if you desire, okay? So hands to the hips, draw that right knee up in line with the right hip. And then just like we did in tree pose, you're going to use that outer hip to bring the right knee out to the side, like at 3 o'clock, and then you'll cross that right ankle on top of that left thigh, and maybe sink the hips back like we did in chair. So I'll show you what that looks like from the side. The right foot stays flexed to protect the knee. Maybe you bring your hands to heart center. If you have even more, maybe you drop your fingertips down towards the floor and you begin to straighten that left leg in a forward fold. Wherever you are on this yoga journey is totally fine. If you have forward folded, begin to make your way back up to standing. I'm going to turn so I can see you guys, so you can see me. Okay? And then with your hands at heart center, last challenge is maybe you take the peace fingers in between the big toe and the second toe, left hand to the hip, and then as you straighten, you're going to use that outer right hip to maybe find your way, either with the knee bent, whoop, or reaching out through the heel for Utthita Hasta Padangusthasana. I know, this is hard work. My left leg is burning. Maybe you reach the left arm out to the side. Wherever you are, 3, 2, 1. Bend that right knee, release the sole of the foot to the floor. Maybe shake out that left leg. We're gonna do that on the left, and then we'll move it down to the floor. So stand into your right leg, right hands to the hips, left knee in line with that left hip. Use the outer hips to open up that leg and cross that left ankle on top of that right thigh. Help it there if you need to, okay? Again, if it helps you to find balance near a wall, do that as well. You can stay here, hands to heart center, sink the hips back. So this is awesome. We've worked that outer hip. This is a great outer hip stretch. Keeping the left foot flexed. Maybe you begin to lower forward, bringing the fingertips to the floor and straightening that right leg. Wherever you are, find your drishti, that focal point that will help you balance. You know where we're going. If you forward folded, make your way back up. Bring your hands to heart center, and then right hand to right hip. And you're either gonna maybe take your big toes, maybe you take the hand to the shin, and you work here, okay? If you're here and you want to take it further, maybe you take your hand a little lower. Maybe you reach down and grab the peace fingers. Stay right here, whoop, or straighten that left leg. Maybe you reach that right arm out. I'm near a wall, so I can use that to help me. One more breath in, and then gently release. Come back to standing. Good, both legs give a wiggle and a shake. Woo. All right, I'm gonna make my way back to the top of my mat. You too, if you aren't there already. Inhale, sweep the arms overhead. As you exhale, forward fold. Inhale to lift up halfway. Exhale, plant the hands, step back to high plank. We'll use this vinyasa like a palate cleanser. Lower down through chaturanga. Inhale to upward facing dog. And then drop the knees, shift the hips back and find child's pose. walk the hands back towards the knees. Allow the hips to fall off to the right, so you're going to shift your lower legs, your shins over to the left, and your hips will come down towards the right. Thinking of this like a mermaid, okay? Left hand to right knee, right arm reaches up towards the ceiling, and then twist over towards the right. So you're twisting from the belly, the ribs, the collarbones, and then the gaze turns to look over that right shoulder. Good. Bring the fingertips back in front of you. Come back to both knees. And then the lower shins shift off to the right, and you'll sit your hips over towards the left. Again, stacking your legs so you feel comfortable. Right hand to left knee. Left arm reaches up, plants behind you like a kickstand. You're twisting from the belly, the ribs, collarbones, and then the gaze turns to look behind you. 3 breaths here. Good, gently unwind, come back to center. This time you'll shift the legs out in front of you and scoot forward on your mat, so eventually you'll have some space to lay down behind you. But we'll take a forward fold. So if your hamstrings are still really tight, you can keep your knees bent. If your hamstrings are more open, you can extend your legs out long, but the feet stay flexed no matter which variation you're choosing. And then if it feels okay, you can lift the hips, sit them back a little bit, or even lift the flesh out from underneath of you so you feel really grounded. And as you inhale, sweep the arms overhead. As you exhale, you'll hinge at the hips, forward fold, reach first, reach as far as you can, and then allow the hands to grab the calves, the ankles, the pinky toe edges of the feet, or again, revisiting this big toe lock with the peace fingers. Paschimottanasana. Also known as intense western stretch, which doesn't have anything to do with location. It just talks about the western side of the body, which is the back side of the body. So this pose stretches from your heels up the backs of your legs to your low back along the spine, through the neck and the crown of the head, the entire back body, which is the western part of the body. As you inhale, gently lift up. Bend the knees so that the soles of the feet come to the floor. Scoot forward onto your mat. And then roll all the way down onto your back as slowly as you can. Good. Bring the heels in towards the booty. Setting up for bridge pose, Setu Bandhasana. Knees are pointing straight up towards the ceiling. Your feet are in line with your hips. Arms are by your sides, palms face down. And again, find this tuck of the tailbone, tuck of the pelvis. And then from there, allow your hips to initiate the movement. You're pressing down through the heels and peeling the hips and the spine away from the mat for your bridge pose. One long line from the knees to the hips to the shoulders. There's gentle pressure in the back of the head. Try not to look for either side because your neck is in a vulnerable position here. But there's a gentle pressure in the back of the head so the throat stays open. You don't feel like you're choking. One more breath in. And then the same way you came up, see if you can articulate each vertebrae rolling down one at a time, like you're laying a strand of pearls on a velvet cloth. So the last thing that hits is your hips arrive back down onto your mat. Good, take a breath in. And out. We'll do that one more time. So flatten the low back by tilting the pelvis and then allow that to initiate, peeling the spine away from the mat. This time if you have more room, you can walk one shoulder under and then the other to interlace the hands. And you're pressing through the triceps, the pinky sides of the hands. Again, still gentle pressure. We're not trying to find this big arch. Belly in. Butt is active, but not overly so, right? You're trying to keep your hips in line with your knees, and if you squeeze your glutes too tightly, it puts pressure on the SI joint. One more breath in. If you have the hands, gently release, and again, roll down one vertebrae at a time. Walk the feet out just a little bit, enough so that you can knock the knees in together and feel the low back release. I always like to take constructive rest before I do a counter pose, such as Apanasana, pulling the knees into the chest, just because my low back can be pretty sensitive. So this is constructive rest. And if you feel okay, then you can draw the knees into the chest. This is Apanasana, ball pose, wind relieving pose, and maybe make circles so you can massage that low back. All right, so bring your hands behind your thighs. We'll do 3 more rock and rolls until we come up to seated. So lift the hips up overhead. 1, 2, and 3. Cross the legs and come back up to seated. I'm going to turn towards you guys. And we'll take a few rounds of alternate nostril breathing, Nadi Shodhana. And it balances the right and the left side of the body. So there is an energetic channel that runs through the center of your body. It aligns with your spinal column. And then kind of like a helix, it weaves these 2 energies, the Ida and the Pingala. They signify right and left, male and female, solar and lunar. They interweave around your spine. And when we do this alternate nostril breathing, it balances those 2 energies. So your left hand will come to the top of your left knee, and your right hand is going to find Vishnu Mudra, which is where you take your pointer finger and your middle finger into the meaty part of your palm. This is really just to get them out of the way, okay? So you can take them to the meaty part of the palm, or you can take them to the space in between your eyebrows, because you're going to use your thumb and your ring finger to block the nostrils, okay? So if it feels okay, kind of looks like a hang 10 sign. If it feels okay, you'll bring the first 2 fingers to the meaty part of your palm, and it's alternate nostril. So we'll inhale for a count of 3, and we'll exhale for a count of 6. If at any point during that breath that doesn't feel good for you, inhale for an equal amount. So if you inhale for 3, exhale for 3. If you inhale for 4, 5, 6, see if you can keep that exhale the same. So you'll find your mudra. You'll take a breath out through the nose, sealing the lips, and then as you then you'll block the right nostril, and then inhale through the left. 2, 3, plug the left, exhale right. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale right, take in as much air as you can. 2, 3, plug the right, exhale left. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale left. 2, 3, plug left, exhale right. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale right, plug right, exhale left. Inhale left, plug left, exhale right. Keep going, inhaling and exhaling, maybe closing your eyes. Again, if any tension creeps up and surrounds this breath, see if there's a way that you can let it go. You might notice that one nostril is more blocked than the other, and you can open that by either pressing the thumb or the ring finger out from the side of your nostril. Sometimes that widens your nasal passages. And in no rush, but the next time you're getting ready to exhale from the right, you'll exhale all the air out from the right, and then you'll drop the left hand down and breathe in through both nostrils, gently closing the eyes. Taking a few moments to notice the effects of that breath. Bringing your gaze to the third eye, the space in between your eyebrows. Gently join your palms together at your heart with your thumb pressing into your sternum, sternum pressing back into your thumb. No effort is wasted in this practice. The light in me sees and honors the light in you. Namaste.